Happy chats! Today we're talking with Maurie Powell, a Kyogle local who has lived here for around 90 years.
When I was very young, John, we lived at Eden Creek and I went to the Eden Creek School. And when we moved to Kyogle, of course, I went to the Kyogle Primary School and the Kyogle High School. Well, as far as the main street's concerned, most of those brick buildings were there, but the difference was horse and sulkies went up and down the street, and very often bullock teams went up and down the street. In those days, but we had a good range of grocery shops, bakers, chemists, everything we needed, but there were very few motor cars. Well, my first job was in a big department store in Kyogle called Juniors Proprietary Limited, and I worked in the hardware department. I started there when I was 16 and I stayed there till I was 21, and the store had many departments: grocery, hardware, ladies' wear, footwear, men's wear, everything you could think we had in that shop. We had a staff of about 40 and it was really a wonderful store to work in. Well then, I went to the Norco store, where I enjoyed working for 21 years and most of that time I was the manager of the store. And we developed that store into a very good store, and now at the moment Norco have over 40 stores around the North Coast. But after 21 years, I thought I'd like to change. So I joined the Kyogle Shire Council as a storeman, and as time went on, I studied and got my diploma and became the purchasing officer. And I stayed there 21 years until I retired when I was 65. Joan and I were holidaying at Kira up near Kyogle, and my mother was here, and the phone rang, and they said, "There's a lovely little boy in Sydney waiting for Mr. and Mrs. Powell." So my mother said, "Well, they're on holidaying on the Gold Coast, we'll have to try and contact." So my mum managed to get in contact with us, and so we came home as quick as we could. We packed a few more things, and we got in our car, and we drove to Sydney, and Joan went to the hospital to get our lovely little boy, and just before she took him home, a nurse took all his clothes off, and she said, "There you are, one little boy, all complete." So we brought him home, and he's given us nearly 50 years of pleasure. Yes, we're pleased to say Max has 2 sisters. Alison is married with 2 lovely children and 2 grandchildren, and she lives in Perth. And Margaret is married and has 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they live in Kellyville in Sydney. My first car was a new Ford Prefect, which I bought when I was 21. It was cream, and I bought it from the garage known as GS Mackerel, 4 dealers, and they were near the post office in Kyogle. And then I met my wife then, and my wife Joan, and we did lots of trips around to Brisbane and all over the place in that Prefect. It was a very good car. Well, Joan was a member of the Downs family which lived in Groom Street, and then she worked at a shop called Bowden's, and before we opened the shops every morning, most of the staff gathered around and had a little chat. So I gradually got to know Joan, and then I don't know how I come to go to her house first, but I got to know her, so we started to get quite fond of each other. We were in the church fellowship group, and we went to dances and different things. We were both singing in the choir of the church, and then I started to invite her out. I asked her to marry me, and I was very surprised when she said yes. But we didn't get married straight away because we wanted to build this house. So we got a bit of more money together, and we built this house. And when we come back from our honeymoon, were able to move in here. Well, I can remember the exact first day I met Josh. My two brothers and their two wives came to Evans Head for a holiday, and when Joan and I were invited down, I don't know whether Joan was living here, no, whether you were living here, still living here were you then? Anyway, so Max, it was all work, we have a nice family group, it was Joan and I, and my two brothers and their wives, and of course we mentioned that to Max, and he came down, and we all looked and said, I wonder who this good-looking young bloke is that Max is bringing along the beach. I wonder who he is. And so, nothing was said that day. We just naturally thought, well, that's a friend of Max's. But we knew from the very beginning that it was a very nice gentleman. Well, I do. And when you live on your own, that's great company for you. You might plant some lettuce seed and you look in the next few days and they come up and that gives you pleasure, or if the flowers come out. This morning I went out into the garden and there was 3 gladioli flowers out, which I picked and put in the house. So I do enjoy working in the garden. But it's so big I can't keep it all in good order. When I get one corner nice and tidy, the next one all grows up in weeds.
Here we are outside at Maurie's garden. Well, there you go. Kyogle Icon, Maurie Powell. Thank you for watching Double J Happy Chats. See you next time. Bye. Happy Chats.